On this job, I will be replacing the rear brake pads as well as servicing some of the brake components. A brake job is simple and you can do it from the comfort of your home. The most difficult part might be to press in the caliper piston, but I will take you through it. If you like this video, please give a like and subscribe, and remember to hit the notification bell for future videos. This is a Duralast brake pads purchased from AutoZone. It is the best aftermarket brake pads that they had available, and it came with everything I needed to do the job, except the silicone brake grease. In the box are the shims for the brake caliper, as well as the brake level indicators. Let's now remove the wheels to get to the brakes. But first I'm going to loosen the lug nuts, then jack up the car. I'm using a piece of wood to prevent metal to metal contact, and this will reduce the risk of likely damage to the car. I'm using a battery powered wrench to remove the lug nuts more faster. I won't be using jack stands, so for safety I place the tire underneath the car. In the event it falls, it will fall on the wheel. Now I will be removing two 12mm nuts that holds the brake piston to the brake caliper. It is important to test the brake caliper sliding pins. And as you can see here, the top one is sliding pretty smoothly, but the bottom one was not moving at all. This normally causes uneven brake wear and premature failure of the brake system. And from checking both brake pads, I can see that the first one has an even wear, but checking the second one, I could see uneven wear. And as I can see, one side of the brake pad is down to metal, which was damaging the brake rotor. No brake pad level indicator was installed on these brake pads, which would have alerted me that the brake pad was low. But on this job, I will be installing brake pad low level indicators. When the brake pad is low, these indicators will make loud annoying noise. And when you hear noise from your brakes, you should always check your brake pad levels. Another thing to do is to compare the new brake pads with the old brake pads to see if they match. And in this case, they were matched. Now I'm going to service the bottom slider pin. I'm just using a wrench to knock it out, and even though only one caliper slider pin was stuck, I will be servicing both of them. To service these, I will clean them with a piece of cloth and apply silicone grease. It's important to use silicone grease because it will not damage the slider pin rubber. Also ensure that the rubber seats over the slider pin. The grease will also be used to place on the contact points on the brake pads. I am going to remove the brake fluid bottle cover to help with the flow of brake fluid while compressing the brake piston. So let's do the most difficult part of this job. Now this is the brake piston that I will press right in. I will be using a C-clamp. However, you can rent a brake piston press kit from O'Reilly or AutoZone for free. Or you can buy a cheap brake piston compressor tool, which will cost less than $10. To make compressing the piston more easier, I will be bleeding the brake fluid while compressing the brake caliper piston. It is highly recommended to use a brake bleeder bottle. You can buy one like this or make one yourself. You will need to fit the hose over the brake bleeder nut while you are compressing the brake piston. This will bleed the brake fluid in the bottle. Brake fluid can damage component and strip your paint, so try to avoid the brake fluid touching anything on your car. But before I started the compression, I opened the brake fluid bottle to improve the flow of brake fluid. The C-clamp worked fine, but it would be nice to have a brake piston tool. You just need to connect your brake bleeder bottle to the brake bleeder nut and then use a 10mm to open the brake bleeder nut to have the brake fluid bleed into the brake bleeder bottle. So after I finished pressing in the brake piston, I tightened the brake bleeder nut and removed the brake bleeder bottle. Now it's time to install the brake pads. I first applied silicone grease to the contact points of the brake pads, which are the two ends. I'm going for the overkill here by adding more grease to the brake pads while they are installed. I also will be adding some grease to the tip of the brake piston because that is another contact point to the brake pads. And now it is time to install the 12mm bolts and tighten these to about 25 foot-pounds. I always like to inspect my tire before putting it back on the car for nails, screws or uneven wear, and at this point I'm seeing no evidence of that. I'm only using the impact wrench to get on the bolts more quickly. I won't use it to tighten the bolts. I'll be using this torque wrench to torque each lug nut to specification. Each lug nut should be tightened to 76 foot-pounds, but I tighten mine to 80 foot-pounds. You will know when I reach the desired torque spec, and that will be indicated by one click of the torque wrench. If you found this video helpful, please give a like and subscribe to my channel. And remember to hit that notification bell for future videos. See you on the next one, guys.